it and like they could run at the other end.
Okay. I'm
Well,
going to start
Go do
learning
the hostages
sponsors, and
off.
then hopefully we'll
that's
we'll get underway.
They don't know where
That, yeah, well, supposedly they said that they were checking which the tunnels that they were flooding were not tunnels that
That they don't
hostages were in.
believe the hostages
Right.
were there.
A year of learning, right? Martin Lippman and family in memory of his wife, Malka Chana Bat Pinchas. Friends of Herb Jeremiah Tzvi Ben Zev. Friends of Sam Coleman Shmuel Ben Yaakov. Friends of Gideon Lazinski Mordechai Shlomo Ben Meir. Bella and David Adler in memory of her father, Eliyahu Ben Yosef Kohen. Those who were inspired by our Rebbetzin Emerita, Sheila Shapiro, Sarah Esther Malka Bat Mishulem Yisachar. Gail and Leslie Kaplan in memory of their parents. Mushka Sprinza Bat Yosef Chaim Bechava. Hanan Ben Moshe Eliezer Vechana. Pesha Bat Shmuel Yitzchak Halevi Vitzipora. Isra Ben Yoel Moshe Cohen Vechana. Rexford Friends of Gladys Sherman, Gutta Bat Meir. Michael Klein and friends of Judah Klein, Yehuda Tzvi Ben Chaim. Marsha Brana in memory of her husband, Harav Yerachmiel Ben Shmuel. Friends and family of Arthur Ritholtz. Mordechai Yudel Ben Baruch Leib HaKohen. Friends and family of Sigi Bessler, Shalom Shraga Ben Dov. Month of Learning by Charlie Gelfenstein in memory of Meir Ben Yaakov. Reuven and Susan Podolsky in memory of his mother, Fredel Bat Shraga Feivel. B. Pizer in memory of her sister, Rivka Bat Avram Michael Halevi. Michael and Judith Paretsky in memory of his brother, Avram Ben Gershon. Today is the 13th. There is no individual days of learning for today. Hashem is heavenly, Crank Rafia Velti Yeshiva Shem Atleo Choben Israel, a good Gaben Shkia.
My son's in the reserves, and he asked me to pick up a GoPro, which they wear. And I picked them up one. If I can find someone who's going to Israel, I can give it to them, and they can take it. What?
He's leaving in 2 months.
Well, if I can find something earlier.
But he's going to charge. Chaim is not a nice person. He's going to charge. You're going to have to pay for his seat. And he flies first class.
And the prices went up.
And the
Since Alex
prices
has a
went up.
monopoly.
That's why you're going to, because you can't afford to go back without his help.
I was at the rally in Washington, and I brought with me the holster that my son wanted, because he would have to wear it, this way.
Yeah.
He wanted a holster. And I found a woman going to Israel in 2 days, and she delivered it to my niece. Well, no, we probably have at least one of our Sephorim here.
He's here, by the way.
Yeah,
Taking coffee.
Yeah, El Ziegler, and my son got it. Sent me a picture.
Yael Ziegler is your niece?
What?
Yael Ziegler is your niece?
My niece. Yeah.
We had her speak here.
We have her what?
We had her speak here.
Yes. Right. And her husband is the editor and the publisher of a lot of Sephorim from the Rav. He's one of the experts on the Rav.
You ready announced? You ready?
I did the.
I apologize. I thought
Your bike was running slow this morning.
slow. Because I would have been earlier. I thought
We just got here.
no, I thought Rabbi Green was still had to say the
This is
did
about
it,
the
no,
longest
yeah.
davening you can imagine.
okay, Rabbi Osai. We're on the list. We're up to where? No, I'll tell you exactly. 1 second.
You want me to get you milk?
No, I don't think.
Okay, good.
Okay, we're right at the bottom.
So that's
Yeah.
4
1
lines
second.
from the bottom.
Which is at 40B,
A
40,
mem on the base, I think we are.
83.
Amar Ma, yeah.
40B3.
Okay, we learned in the Brisa.
Sorry.
Amar Ma, you see it one,
So where is it?
1, 2, 3,
40B
4 lines from the bottom. 40B.
Right after the 2 dots.
Amar Ma, right after the 2 dots. Okay, we said an interesting case. Amar Ma, Nogech B'Sham, it's a cope where we said that an animal that gores, a muad animal that gores and kills a person, so the owner has to pay the atonement money. But we said in the Bryce, now this is just mopping up. We're going to come back. This wasn't the reason we brought the Bryce. We brought the Bryce to talk about the rule of whether it's disqualified from a sacrifice. But once we're on the subject, we're going to finish up the Bryce. So we said, we said an animal that lives with a human doesn't have to pay kofar. Now, what's the case? How did the human die, and why would the animal pay kofar or not pay kofar? Why would it have to pay? What's the case? Let's say the animal lived with a woman, and he killed the woman in the process. Of living with her. Who cares whether an animal kills with the horns or an animal kills by living with somebody? Killing is killing, and should have to pay. The owner should have to pay the kofar. What do you mean? But the animal lived with the woman, and he didn't kill her. Okay, okay. So what do you mean? And the only thing is what's the problem? Maybe she's going to get killed, whatever the point for her own deeds. The reason I pick over because he didn't kill her. What's the point? It was his act didn't kill the woman. Why should the owner have to pay kofar? It's either way, he should pay kofar, or it's obvious that he shouldn't. What's going on? So why do you say he doesn't pay kofar? Here's what happened: the animal lived with the woman, but he didn't kill her. But what happened? They brought the woman to the basin and they killed her for her deed because she wanted to live with an animal. Since you would have thought that since the animal ultimately the animal did kill the woman therefore the owner should be chayv kofar. It's as if he killed her. Even though he didn't physically kill her, but he brought about her killing. They'd have to pay kofar kamashrolan. Now the truth is it's very strange because it's such an indirect action. Why would he be responsible at all? The answer is. And of course, because the base didn't kill her. So if you look in the Ravid, remember we discussed earlier a principle called tchilas b'pshia b'sof bonus. What if a person starts out negligent and then something happens by accident? So now we have an opinion, and often halacha that if something begins with negligence and ends with accident, that the person is obligated. But especially when the original negligence is what brings about the duress. So let's say for example here, though, the woman did the wrong thing, and then ultimately the woman was wrong in the beginning, and then she's out, but the animal's in. You understand? I'm just trying to speak delicately. She's in. She wants. You understand? Then she doesn't want. The animal's not the animal. You understand? So she started out wrong, and in the end, she was the rest. So then there's very good reason. To say what? Right. Exactly. So that's the point. So but we could say that that's the whole point. That really, on the one hand, maybe the animal did get. But we say what? Let's say we would have thought that since she started out negligently, she started out doing the wrong thing. Or let's say not we thought. Let's say because she started doing the wrong thing, so therefore it's really herself who killed herself and not the animal that killed her. Maybe see what I'm saying? Okay. Anyway, I just want to bring that up as an interesting point. Simply, the rule is that he doesn't have to pay kofar. I mean, it's just an interesting side point. Rav Amar says, "La'olam the Rav Avakatla." Rav says, "No. Here's what happened. The animal lived with her and he killed her. Okay, with the kashlachem. What's bothering you? What's the difference whether you kill with the horns or you kill by living with her? If an animal kills a woman, you have to pay. It kills a human. The answer is Karen Kavanas Lahazik. I'll tell you why. Because Rava holds that the whole idea of paying kofar is only when it was Karen when he had intention to do damage. It's malicious. But this is a case of what? The animal just wants to get pleasure. The animal is not trying to damage the woman. The animal is trying to get pleasure. So killing a woman by trying to get pleasure, killing a human by trying to get pleasure, is not a killing that would bring about a price per tumah. So what's the argument of Abaya and Rava? Abaya told us what? The animal brought about her death, and your partner. And Rava says what? That the reason why Rava says it's the case where what? We're killed her by living with her. We killed her by living with her. The answer is what? Beregel. Where's the nafkin? Where are they arguing? Let's say a normal case of trampling. So trampling is not obviously is not intention to do damage. Trampling is only obligated in the private domain of the damagee. So let's say an animal trampled a baby in the private domain where trampling is usually obligated. Abaya, according to Abaya, who thinks that no matter how Abaya really says no matter how the ox kills, okay, you have to pay. So you have to pay in that case. Mashal Kop, you have to pay. The Rava, but Rava says no, that it's only where there's intention to do damage. Lo Mashal Kop, you won't pay Kop, and that's the argument. Tanya Kabasi the Rav, we really learned in support of Rav. Okay, who said now? Which is what? So, not this argument.
In regal, when by regal an animal kills somebody,
right? That's the argument.
Whether you pay,
right? Because the argument whether that way. Because what's the argument? What's the argument? The argument is whether kofar is dependent upon intention to do damage or not. Okay, and that's what I'll make the difference. Okay. Now back to the real farm where we were. This was an aside. This was a mappa. The real argument, right? The real argument was what? was whether a stadium ox that we teach to kill people becomes disqualified from a sacrifice. We learned like Rav, we said what? That a stadium ox is not is not chayv to be killed. And also what? It's also right. It's not disqualified. It's eligible to be brought as a sacrifice. Because we say yes, we do learn from the pasuk notes. Even though yesterday, if I explained it or not, even though the psukim about karbanos don't necessarily use any language of goring or being made to gore, but since we have the pasuk of it has to be one that he gored and not to be made him gore. So it's also what? It's also not disqualified from sacrifices. Says the Mishnah. If an animal gored a man and the man died, muad. Let's say if the animal was forewarned, mishalim kofar. So that's the case. You have to pay the atonement money. But but a tam, even though we're going to see we kill the animal, okay, but you don't pay kofar. But whether it's a tam or a muad, any animal that kills a man, you have to kill the animal. Also saying that even though the people that they kill are minors, as long as they are viable after 30 days. But if even if they're minors, then also what? Also the animal has also what? You have to pay the atonement money, and the animal is stoned. Nagach evedo amo. Let's say the animal gored a Canaanite slave or maid servant. Shloshim soim. Okay, no, say shloshim soim. He has to pay 30 salas to the master. Regardless of the value of the slave, if it's worth 100 mana, even if it's only if it's only worth 1 dinar, a fraction of that number, you still have to pay 30. Okay, so this is the famous kasha everybody has. Okay, and we see what if we kill a tam. Okay, says how do we ever find an animal that was alive long enough to kill 3 people to have to pay kofar, etc. on the 4th? What happened over here? Okay, and we're going to learn we'll learn today like as if everybody agrees that it's the 4th, even though Rashi said earlier the 3rd, but we said that he reneged, etc. Fourth. I'm saying yes.
Rob says it would be the 3rd.
No, I'm saying the other way. I'm saying that since Tosa, even Tosa tells him, a lot of people. Rashi earlier said the 3rd, but people say that he reneged, etc. So we're going to make everybody the 4th. Okay. We're going to make everybody the 4th. Okay, now. He said, if since the second that a tom killed somebody, we killed the animal, how did it ever become muad for killing people? Okay, how did it come out that it killed 3 times, that it killed the human 3 times? So now this is wonderful. And Rabbi, just a word from the sponsor here, not me, a word on behalf of the sponsor. It's such a wonderful thing that everybody sits here and learns Gemara, etc. It's such a blessing, and I'll tell you, and I've seen this. I noticed this for years. I want you to know, and I'm not saying this is the purpose of learning Torah. The purpose of learning Torah is to do what God said. Don't misunderstand. We learn to know what Hashem wants. But I'm telling you, I've seen for years. He said, you have a Jewish man. He gets up in the morning, he washes his hands, he makes his blessing, etc., etc. No, maybe has a little learning or a little shir before he gets to davening. By the time he gets to davening, etc., etc. By 9 o'clock in the morning, when this guy gets into the office, he's davening. He's appreciated his eyes, his ears. He's appreciated he can walk. He has good health and a parnasa, etc., etc. Thought about a million things and learned Torah and the ins and outs. His brain is in gear, not even the word. Okay, but he gets to the office at 9 a.m. Another guy just slept out of bed, rubbing his eyes. And are you surprised? Are you surprised? But and that's not the purpose of learning Torah. God forbid, I'm not saying that, but it happens to be a wonderful benefit. Today's Gemara is mamish an exercise in brain teasers. There's no today. You can say everything, but today's Gemara is mamish. Here, this is a riddle. Today's Gemara is about to come up. This is a riddle. And we're going to answer the riddle again and again and again. Hashem, that's the way it's supposed to be. But Yonasan Eibshitz but he was a genius. Doesn't even describe what he was. He was a gigantic Talmid Chacham, but he was above and beyond. But he was a child prodigy. Everybody knew that. So at the Seder, I knew it was classic. The father puts away the Afikoman, and the kids know you find the Afikoman and use it to extort your father. You know, at the end of the Seder, little Rav Yonasan comes up. It's time to do the Afikoman. Little Yonasan says to his father, he says, if you want to do the mitzvah of the Afikoman, you'd have to give me the following, etc., that I demand. Otherwise, I'm not going to give it to you, and you won't be able to do the mitzvah. Father says, okay, look, you got me. Okay, I'll give you what you want. Give me the afikoman. He gives it to him. The father breaks off a piece. He's getting ready to do the mitzvah. He says, now, he says, if you want to do the mitzvah, you'll cancel the deal. I'm not going to give you a piece of the afikoman. So little Yonason says, he says, I knew you were going to do that. I didn't give you back the one I found. I faked you out. The father says, and I knew you were going to do that, and I never hid the afikoman originally. I never gave it to you. I still have it. That's Jewish people. That's Jewish people. That's the way it's supposed to be. So you have to. We're blessed. We're blessed. We're blessed beyond all ability to appreciate what Hashem gave us. And I'm saying that's not the purpose, but that's the fact. That's not the purpose of learning, but that's the fact. It's a bonus, exactly. Rav Zavid Omar. Okay, so now let's take a look. Okay, so he said, let's take a look. How did it happen that this animal is still alive? Rav Zavid Omar could go and I'll tell you what, he killed 3 animals. Okay, we're going to suggest at this point, even though every time we're going to knock it off, that an animal that's forewarned for animals is also considered forewarned for humans. Okay, so we don't kill an animal that kills an animal, but we consider it forewarned. So he was really forewarned, even though it did kill 3 men. Did I?
Yeah, after it's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Amar Rabba, sorry. Yes, I did. I did skip. Yes. Amar Rabba. Rabba said, this is the case. Here's what happened. We saw him, okay, running after 3 people who ran away. It never got a chance to kill them. But as far as we're concerned, it's the same as we make an assumption. We analyze. We've assumed that he would have killed them. So it's good enough. He went 3 times. Right? Okay, he says what?
Nature.
We know that the nature is to kill people, even though it didn't kill anybody, and therefore you have to pay on the 4th time. He says, he says, look, assumptions are nothing. You cannot get away. You can't warn an ox on an assumption. Either it killed somebody or it didn't. The fact that you think it would have killed them doesn't make any difference. This is the case. Here's what happened. He put 3 people into dire circumstances. He gored them, and they're all on the verge of dying. They're all about to die. Okay, and then afterwards, they all die. And it's considered to be what? It's considered to be that it was muad for all 3 people. Okay, Avzavid Amar, he says what? Kagon shaharag shlosha behemas. Here's what happened. It killed 3 animals, and we said, and we're going to assume now, muad lebehema be muad ladam. That one for an animal is one for man. Now you know we already said no. Okay. Pardon me. I read it wrong. He killed 3 animals. We're assuming that muad for animals, muad for men. So Gemara says, muad lebehema be muad ladam. What are you going to tell me? What a muad for an animal is a muad for a man? You can't say such a thing. We learned earlier what differentiates a man has mazel. Mazel has 2 possibilities. Mazel is either intelligence. A man is smart enough to defend himself, or mazel is he's protected. He has an angel that protects him, etc. Humans have a natural protection either of an angel. I want to tell you something. I shouldn't tell you this, but I'll tell you. When I was a kid, I was against all the rationalists. I hated them. No Rambam, no Meiri, no Malbim, no Rav Shimshon for Hirsch. Not every rationalist rabbi. They were on my blacklist when I was a kid. I considered them Uncle Toms. Later, I changed. But anyway, I changed. When I grew up, I changed. But all the rationalists I couldn't stand. So what's the story? So listen to this, the Meiri by Shabbos. In Shabbos, this problem of whether, so we have always a question, of things work for a man or don't work for an animal or different. So over here, the main point is that we say we reject this. We say because human beings, you can't say that something is forewarned for an animal is forewarned for a man, because the man is harder to kill, either because he has the intelligence to escape or he has an angel protecting him, etc. Like we say. Yes, okay, now, but I want you to know, in Shabbos we have a similar problem. What is that? There's an amulet. They would write amulets that could help people, but now the kameah. But the question is the kameah, is it carrying or not carrying? Well, look, if it's there, it's to protect you, etc., etc. It's part of your. If it's going to be part of your clothing, it's not going to be. You're wearing it, so we have to know. But so an amulet has to be a mumcha. It has to be been shown to be effective 3 times. If it's effective 3 times, then it's not going to be considered carrying. So now we have a question. We know if an amulet was effective for humans, we say it's not effective for animals. It's effective for men. It's not effective for animal. Why? Because a man has mazel. So we have all kinds of different explanations. You know what the Meiri says? You know what the mazel is? He says by human beings. He says human beings believe that it's going to work. He knew about the placebo effect. He says what? Human beings know that it's going to work. He says so. Therefore, you can't have it work for 300 people because people have the human ability to think about it. They believe it's going to work. The animal doesn't, so it can't work for an animal. Just interesting point. Okay, Elamar of Shimi. So we can't say that. You can't say muad for an animal is muad for a man. Here what happened? It killed 3 non-Jews. Okay, and therefore what? And the halacha was the animal wasn't killed, okay, because it killed the 3 non-Jews. And what? And we're still going to consider it what to be. So it killed men, but it wasn't killed because the law wasn't for it to be stoned. And now when it gores the Jew, it's considered a muad automatically. He says, "Oh, I said what a muad like Chachabev and muad Yisrael." Come on, you can't say that. We can't say that even a muad for non-Jews is a muad for Jews. Similar to the reasons that we said for the reasons that we said before. Yeah, but Mazel going to speak intelligence. Also, I tell you, an angel. Okay, Alamar Shim ben Lakish. Here's what happened. He killed 3 people who were already a treifa. These people were on the verge of dying. So here, the animal when you kill killing a person who's about to who is already, so to speak, almost already dead. You killed a dead man, so it's nothing. So we didn't kill the animal. I said, 1 second, get out. I said, more the treifa be more the shalim. How can you say that a thing is forewarned to kill a person who on the verge of dying that we're still worried that it's going to kill a human? Who said it's the same thing, that it kill a healthy man? Papa, here's the case. The katol ba'argla agma. Here's what happened. This is what we expected first. The animal killed and what? And escaped. It ran out to the swamp. The katol ba'argla. Then it came back, killed, and ran out to the swamp. It was a raider. The animal came, went. We really, yeah, that's also, we really saw it kill 3 people, and we warned. Okay, now, just make this simple like this. You know, what happens? Witnesses that say Ruvain did something, Ruvain borrowed money from Shimon on such a day, or he did some damage. And then other witnesses say no. Their testimony can't be true because at the time and date that they say that they saw that happen, they were with us in Tel Aviv. Now, watch this. What happens if 2 people say they saw such and such a case take place in Yerushalayim on such a day? The other 2 people come and say no. They can't be telling the truth. They were with us in Tel Aviv at that time. And then later, 2 more people come and say what? Those 2 people couldn't have said what they said, that they were with the first guys because they were with us. No, they were with us in Haifa that day. The first guy said what those guys couldn't have said, seen what they saw in Yerushalayim that day because they were in Tel Aviv. The other guy says that those guys couldn't have been with the first witnesses in Tel Aviv. They were with us in Haifa on that day. Impossible. So that's called what? Now, okay, so now we're going to see what, and then, so we're going to see what, in other words, what happened. In other words, so the people who undid the Zomim, okay, they were undone. So what happens? It comes out that the original testimony comes out to be true. That's the point, right? Here, notice, for example, you're right, exactly. Here, here's what happened. What happened was, let's say they testified. These guys testified that the animal killed a guy. Okay, now, and now what? And but then other witnesses said what? No, these guys were not telling the truth. They were with us in Tel Aviv. And then after, and that's what happened. Let's say the same guys testified all 3 times, and the same 2 guys knocked them out all 3 times. This time, that time. Each time they say the day they say that they saw the animal kill somebody, they were with us in Tel Aviv. Okay, and after the 3rd time, other people came along and they found those disqualifying witnesses to be disqualified. I said, no, they were with us in Haifa all the times that they said that those guys couldn't have that. So the original testimony here, no, the testimony 2 knocked out number 1, testimony 3 knocked out number 2, but afterwards, after 2 testified 3 times, okay, and we disqualified the original Adim, then the set 3 came along and disqualified number 2. So all of a sudden, all at once, all 3 testimonies that we never killed for, okay, become qualified. So we never killed the ox, and they're all 3 in place. He's been warned. Okay, that's what happened. I says, 1 second, slow down. Now remember, we had an argument earlier when we said that we have to have it 3 days. What was the 3 days for? Was the 3 days that the ox, in order to say that its nature changed, we need 3 days? Or we say no, unless the owner is warned on 3 different days, he's not really warned. And now we had an argument. So the Gemara says, oh, wait a second, slow down, because what happened over here? All of a sudden, all at once, all 3 testimonies, no matter when they happen, they'll all become true when on 1 day. So this guy heard about the owner only was his warning, even though it was 3 times. His warning was on 1 day. So the Gemara says, "Ha nicha." That's all fine. That's fine if you say that the 3 days are just to say that the ox's nature changed. So we're fine. So even though the owner found out on 1 day, he's considered warned. Okay, Shapir, that's fine. But Ella, but if you said the other side that we learned earlier, the Yudhi Gavri said, no, you really need 3 days to warn the owner, to warn the man. Meir Amalei said that then the owner still has the right to say, Lavi Adana. I didn't know. Yeah, I wasn't warned yet. Okay. The answer is no. He says, I'll tell you, don't worry, we're gonna answer. Kagon the Amar, it's where the witnesses say, call Amos the Kotel Turi Gabe Havikoi. Not only did we witness the ox killing, but the owner was standing there. The owner was there. So they're testifying at the same time that the ox killed and the owner was there. So then what? So then he can't say, then he did. He really was warned on the 3 times, right? Ravina Amar, we had 3 days at least to consider. Ravina Amar Makir Palashor. He says in other ways like this. It's where the witnesses know the owner. They don't know which ox it is, so they can't say that ox did it. And only after then at the end afterwards they say, "Oh, that's the ox." They know the 4th time. Oh, that's the ox. They know that was the ox they did all the time. Okay. So the Gemara says 1 second. He says 1 second. If they didn't know, he says if they didn't know what ox it was, so if they never could identify the ox, how does the owner know to guard that ox? How can you say he's warned? He never knew. They said 3 times his ox did it. Which ox? I got a lot of ox. He got 1,000 ox. And what is it? He says Mishum the Amrile, because they say to him, no. He says what? He says Tura Nagana Isla bit Mekarcha. Once they told you, look, you got a goring ox in your herd. He says you have to watch everything. It's not. I don't have to tell you a number. I don't have to tell you Sam or George. He says once I told you what you got ox. Watch everybody. Okay. Let's look for okay. That's that little brain teaser there. Okay. We said what? Whether it's a tom or whether it's a muad, so the animals have to be killed when they kill somebody. And we said further, okay, mimashma shenema. From the fact that it said in the Torah, "Sakol yisokel ashor," let me read you the whole pasuk. V'chiyigach shor es isho es isho. Amazed. But ox will gore a man or woman, and they die. So kol yisokel ashur, the ox will surely be stoned, but it's a double language. Remember, we don't like that. What do you mean sakol yisokel? We're gonna have to deal with that. Why is it doubled up? Well, lo yechels b'saro, and its flesh will not be eaten. Ubal ashur naki, and the owner of the ox is clean. Now we have to see all these things. We're gonna see what it means. So the Gemara says, from the fact that mashma shenemar. And the Bryson says, and the fact that it said "Sakol Yisakel Ashor," the ox is surely going to be stoned. Any Odea Shenaveli, every kid knows if you stone an ox, you didn't shecht it. Everybody knows it's an avela. You're not allowed an avela. Any animal that wasn't shechted is called an avela. You're not allowed it. An avela surbachila. The Torah says explicitly you can't eat avela. So why is the pasuk? Why does Hashem have to tell me you're not allowed to eat the meat? Obviously, you can eat the meat. We threw we stoned the animal. We threw the thing down, and obviously you didn't shecht this. Obviously, you can't eat the meat. The answer is magilacha kasev. The pasuk is telling you a tremendous finish. The guy here, the owner of the ox says, "This is crazy. I'm going to let the ox be stoned quickly." He pulls a knife out, shechts the ox. He says, "Let's have dinner at least. Why should I lose the ox?" Because the im shechato. Even if the owner went out and shechted it, once it was decreed that the ox has to be stoned, also bachila, the meat is still forbidden. 1 second. Okay, I only know that he can't eat that meat once the din was finished. But on 9, I know he can't get benefit from it. The benefit is different. I won't eat it, but I can get all kinds of monetary benefit, etc. I can make glue, everything, everything. Talmud Lomar says not ubala shanaki because it says that he's clean. My mashma. Clean means he can't get any benefit. My mashma. How do you know clean means what? That he can't get benefit? Okay, the answer is what? Shimon ben Zomar. He says, I'll tell you no. This is a common expression. A person says to another, each point this guy came out clean. What he would like, he's got in what he's clean from his possessions. He lost everything. He's empty. He's not adulterated by any money. He says he's unadulterated by money. The guy was clean from his money, and he has no pleasure. So the word naki means what? No benefit. How do you know that the Torah is coming to teach me that you can't eat the meat? Means what if you shechted it after the judgment was made? Maybe the other way. Maybe no one. If he shechts it right away after the judgment, really what? It is permitted to eat it. When it says what that the meat can't be eaten, okay, okay, it's only what pardon me. It's coming to teach me what? No, it's not going to teach me that I can't eat it before you could. It's coming to teach you that once it was stoned, and it's coming to teach me not that I can't eat it, which you said was obvious. So it's coming to teach me I can't get enough benefit. No, forget about it. Maybe it's not true what you said. What it's really lo yachel is not telling me I could eat it if I shecht it after the judgment before the stoning, but it's coming to teach me that after the stoning I can't get benefit. I had said don't eat it, but I'm going to show you that don't eat it really means what? Don't get benefit from it. It's a very courageous proposition here, because you're going to say that the word not eating doesn't mean not eating. It means don't get benefit.
Well, it
Okay.
means not consuming.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
you could broaden
Okay,
the
okay,
word.
okay, good. Okay. Okay, the Rabbi Bo. Like what? Like the famous learning of Rabbi Bo. I'm Rabbi Bo. He said, I'm Rabbi Lazar. He said, Kol makom shenema, lo yochal, lo tochal, lo sochlu, all these languages of eating, the Torah means always both. It means you can't eat it and you can't get benefit. Except why, in the case where we saw, that even though it told us not to eat it, that you can get benefit. What do you mean? Actually, until such cases, we've seen this example. Till the pasuk singles it out and tells me what, that even though you can't eat it, you can get benefit. Like we learned by the classical case of Avela, an animal that wasn't shechted, a dead animal, you're not allowed to eat it. Okay, well, okay, but it says lo tochlu kol Avela, but it says but what, you can give it to the ger, you certainly can sell it to the ger, but you're even allowed to give it to a ger, and he can eat it. Oh, or you can sell it to a guy. Now the ger the ger, I told you, even by giving, or to a guy by selling. So therefore, what? So there you see that he learned what. So since I showed you from the famous din of Rabavo that not eating really means what? Can really mean what? Not benefit. So he says no. He said yeah. But the one says you can't make that suggestion. It can't be in our case. Why? You're too courageous. What do you mean? You took it too far. Amri, they said, get out of here. He says, Hani Mili, he says, when is it true that Rabbi taught us that don't eat means what? Don't get benefit. Okay, when I'm learning what both the prohibition of eating and the prohibition of benefit from the pasuk of not eating, that's fine. Not eating could also mean what? Could also mean not benefit. But don't tell me not eating doesn't mean not eating. It only means no benefit. He says, I already know I can't eat it because it was stolen, because it wasn't shechted. Okay. And if you want to tell me now what? No, don't eating is really means what? Don't get a no. Come on, why would God write like that? He says, let God say what he means. Don't get benefit. Why is he going to tell you don't get benefit by saying don't eat it? That doesn't mean that. Okay, and further, or lo yachal b'sar, or say don't eat it, like you said. Okay, but as another way to defend myself. Okay, and even if you're going to say it, okay, you say that just saying lo yachal is going to tell me what? No benefit. As Basar Lumley, why'd you have to tell me that it's meat? Okay, wait, meat. Just don't eat it. Okay, so since you told me what, don't eat the meat. The afagav, the avdei kein basar. The answer is clearly that even though you turned it into meat, edible meat, by what? By the shachte, by shechting it, you still can't eat it. Maskif la Marzutra still says, what are you talking about? A mahani mili. I can say 1 second. Okay, when is it that it's usher to eat if you shechted it after the judgment? Hey, the badak tzur. Okay, b'shachad. Now I want to explain outside of explaining. He's going to say, listen. Maybe he says that whole prohibition is what? It's that, for example, he shechted it in an abnormal way. How do you usually shecht? You take a knife and you shecht. What's an abnormal way? You took a stone and you sharpened the stone and you shechted with it. He says maybe, yeah. So maybe right. So maybe when is it? Okay, when is it? Heichel the badak sur. It's when they say he checked it. It means he prepared the knife that it's kosher to shecht with, and he shechted with it. The abdei ke'ain skila. So he really wants. So this shechting was like stoning. He took a rock. He shechted it with a rock, with a stone. Exactly. But where he shechted it normally low, there's no prohibition. Maybe the whole prohibition is if you, so to speak, it said stone him, and then you did a shechita like stoning. So if you did a shechita like stoning, you used a rock, then it's awesome. But if you're shechted normally, it'd be fine. The Gemara said, this is so beautiful. Amri the Gemara, huh? So no, the other way. No, because he doesn't want to. He's thinking a loophole. He says, "Listen, the Torah said, watch. I'll show you the reasoning." He says, the Torah says, "Look, stone him." He says, "Stone him." He says, 1 second, but I don't want to lose the money. He said, "You know what? I'm going to stone him and shecht him. Shechting alone not going to work. But if I stone him and shecht him at the same time, I'm going to take the rock. Yeah, I'm going to throw the rock at him like truckers and shecht him right at a sharp edge. And I'm going to shecht him and stone him at the same time. I'm going to do what God said and still get what I want. I'm going to stone him and shecht him at once. I'm just for teasing. You somebody saying, so do you think? So that's where when you try to outsmart him, outsmart Hashem, he says, then it's forbidden. But if you just shechted him normally, here it's okay. You can eat it. They said, get out of here. They said, Atu saking siva brisa. What are you talking about? There's no such rule. Nowhere in the Torah never told me I have to shecht an animal with a knife. No, but the Torah never told me that. Okay, I can check that out with a knife. Okay, didn't we learn? A mago yad is serrated. You can't check with a side, but the opposite side of the side, where there's no teeth, could be sharp and could be a kosher knife. No, the front side's no good, but the back side, if it was sharp as a knife, you could check. Obitzur, or if you checked it with a sharp rock. Okay, ubakana, or even with what? Even with a sharp reed, with frighteningly sharp, by the way, for you martial arts fans. Reeds are lethal. We can how to use them. A reed, a kaneh, they're lethal. For you martial, you guys, you want to be lethal, without gun permits. Get a reed. Yeah, get a reed.
You don't need a gun permit. This is Florida.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But so okay, so if you let's say shechter shchita, so share, you see shchita is good, so you can't make a false differentiation. And I want to. This is something interesting. I'm not late. I'm going to tell you something interesting. It's late in the morning, but I'm not late. But listen to this. There's one of the great rabbis that I learned with, Rav Zalman Chamia, who was a giant, really a gadol ador. He had a principle, and it trained me very powerfully. A svara, an idea. Ideas are wonderful, but they're a dime a dozen. Everybody has ideas. We got a million ideas. So if you have a Torah problem and you want to solve it with your idea, it makes sense like this, like that. He said, who says it's reasonable? But how do you know that God thinks that way? You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's reasonable, but is it unassailable? Are you sure that that's a Torah idea? You want to solve it with a common sense svara? Are you sure the Torah ratifies that? So he would always ask and say, show me a place where the Torah utilizes that idea. Show me a place. Show me some place where the Torah utilizes. Then if you would show him, thank you. If you show him that, it's okay, now I'll consider it. He says, show me that I remember we were learning, for example, Shabbos. Shabbos, we differentiate between Bishul B'chama or Bishul B'or. Cooking from the Torah, cooking in a fire is forbidden on Shabbos. Cooking in the sun, according to you could cook all day long in the sun. Where I came from in Phoenix, you could cook in the sun. It's not hot. You could cook. So, according to the Torah, you could cook all day long. You could go out and cook mamash on Shabbos, make your eggs and make your children. You can cook mamash from scratch. But the rabbi said no. The rabbi said, no, pardon me. No, cooking in the sun itself is fine. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. But if you heat something in the sun and cook, the rabbi said no. There's a reason why. So we'll see why. Because told us or here, if I heat a metal in the fire and cook on it, that's cooking from the Torah. If I heat metal, so theoretically, if I heat metal in the sun and cook on it, also be fine. But since you can't tell the difference between a frying pan that was heated in the sun or in the fire, the rabbis forbade it. But cooking in the sun is for sure is fine. So when we were discussing what's the difference in the food, is there a difference in food cooked in the sun or food cooked by fire? If cooking is cooking, what's the difference? So they were proposing in base matters that there's actually there's something. The fire is definitely a different nature than sunlight is a different thing. So they're thinking. All of a sudden, one of the guys says, "I'll tell you where." He says, "Show me a place where the Torah says it." One guy says, "I'll tell you where." We see it by Negaim. We see what by the laws. What they call leprosy. It's not leprosy. By Negaim, we see what there's a difference between a thing that came from the sun or that came from the fire. You see, when they came from the sun. So we see. He says, "Okay, now I'm willing to consider the point. Since you showed me that the Torah recognizes such a difference, says I'll use it." So over here, but I just want to put it over here. What they have to make sense. You got an idea here. What's your? Oh, 1 second. Maybe it's because it's only what? Because you used a shechting like a stone, like stone. Wait a second. Where did you ever see that in shechita there was a difference between one material and another? You take something sharp and you shecht with it. It's good. So you have nice idea, but I'm sorry, the Torah doesn't recognize such a differentiation. You're out. You see anything? Interesting idea. There's a book, and I'll tell you this also. I know I'm not late. It's late in the morning, but I'm not late. I went short today. But I'll tell you quickly. You should know this is a book. I personally I'm not knocking the guy's a massive Talmud Chacham, and I'm not knocking the book. I'm not always happy with his solutions, but he wrote a beautiful book. He wrote a book called the Ein Eliyahu. The Ein Eliyahu is a book. It's a very good book. But what did he do? So he's learning the Agadah. The Agadah are like the midrashic portions of the Talmud. Okay, so there he wants to solve those to explain those things. He says, here's what I'm going to do. He says, every solution I gave you, I'm going to take from a different place in the Talmud. So you know that at least the principle that I used is a Torah principle. So that part I love, and it was actually Rabbi Goldberg who told us about that book, ironically, in a different context. You understand? And that's a wonderful thing. I'm not always convinced that his answers necessarily because of that are are better. Okay, are better because I believe, and the way I was taught, that the strength of your solution has to come from the place. And as a famous quote, a person says, he says, difficulties from far away, akushya from far away doesn't bother me so much, and a teretz from far away doesn't make me so happy. The kushya that comes from the place is frightening, and the solution that comes from the place is powerful. That's more the way I was trained. So we want the integral piece that you're learning should really present the problem, and the integral piece that you're learning should really show the solution. That's the best way. That's the way I was taught. You understand? So, okay, but anyway, but interesting. But this point, Rabbi Goldberg was very makpid. I once argued with him for a long, long time about it until I finally I killed myself till I found the source. Like said at least that the principle exists, not in this place, but the principle exists. He finally gave me a big smile and he shook my hand. Okay, all right. He was besides the fact that he was a gadol, he was a very great man because he put up with me. And so because I was a handful. Anyway, he was really wonderful. Okay, Bahasha Nafkale. Okay, so now that you brought both of them out from the same place, Isra Achila V'Isra No. Now that what you used, okay, you're able to learn Milo Yachal B'Saro. Since you've managed to learn both prohibitions for Lo Yachal B'Saro, what both eating and benefit. So why did the Torah have to say the extra word that he's free from his possessions, that he can't get? What do I need that he's clean? That was to tell me, okay. The answer is no. I still need it. Lanos oro, that he can't get benefit from the skin. Okay, because we talked about what they got, not just the flesh but the skin. Okay, the salkadaitach. I mean, because I might have thought pesar that specifically the flesh of the animal is forbidden to get benefit. But I think okay, but the leather I can get benefit. The skin, amashalan, balasharnaki. No, even the skin, he has to go free from, or he's clean. He doesn't get benefit. Okay, the mafke lahai. We're going to see. We haven't learned them yet, but those tanaim who use a balasharnaki, the drashachwina, kedabin lemem lekaman. Those ones we're going to see later, Tanaim, who use the same words for something else. What are we going to do? They're not going to have it free. How are they going to be able to know that? Where are they going to get the fact that you can't get benefit from the leather? Nafkale mias basaro. From the extra word s, okay? S al tafel basaro. This is very important. S, that what is secondary to the skin, okay, mine, okay, what is that? Okay, oro, okay. What's secondary to flesh? Oro, that's the hide. Okay, also that's also a very important thing. S is very important. Now I'm going to talk quickly, but this next paragraph is one of the most important things in the world. Shockingly, I know you're surprised at me. One of the most important lessons you could possibly learn. The high Tana, he says, the one who learned Eslo Doresh, okay. He says, 1 second. He says, and the Tana that learned Balashar Lucky, he's obviously learning what? He's not learning. Yes, right. No, pardon me. What is he going to do with the S? Okay, Eslo Darsh, does he do S? No, if he learns Balashar Lucky to say what? That the one who said Balashar Lucky tells me the Hanoah. So what does he do with the extra S? Okay, what does he do with the S? Okay, Es Basara. Eslo Darsh, he doesn't teach it. Okay, Ukaditanya, like we learned. Okay, like we learned. Shimon Amsoni, Shimon Amsoni, or Nechemia Amsoni was famous. He explained every S in the Torah. He explained it was extra. Why? I don't know if you know this. I lived in Eretz Yisrael for a long time. So if you listen to each younger generation is destroying the word S more. The kids barely say the word. If you listen to the Israelis speak, so it used to be now the kids say they never say etta. Why? Because it's a useless word. So they're eradicating it from the language. They're destroying it. Why? Because it doesn't mean anything to them. But S does have meaning. That's the point. S has a meaning, but they don't know what to do with it. What do you do with it? So S can be like with, I told you, for example, like Johnson and Johnson, as Johnson et Johnson, for example. But really, S is they're losing. S for the modern Israeli has no meaning. They don't do it. So he said every S in the Torah is coming to say and something. It amplifies this plus. S means plus, add something. He says, see, every S in the Torah, whenever it said S, he said this plus something else. He says, when he came to the pasuk, you have to fear the Lord your God. S, he said, what? Perish? He dropped it. He said, what do you mean? When I say there's something else to fear besides God, forget it. Drop the whole theory. Amrlo Talmidav says, Talmidim said to him, Rebbe, they said, call etin shadarash lamata. What are you going to do with the whole theory? You're going to throw away your life's work? all the S's that you did, what are you going to do? So Marlem, he said to them, Kashem shikibalti schar la drisha. He said, the same way I get rewarded for explaining, kach kibalti schar la prisha. I'm going to get also what for dropping it. The heck with it. Ad Shabar Rabbi Kiva he came around. Rabbi Kiva said, "You know what?" He says, "As Hashem al-kachatir l'Rabbi Samir Chachamim." Yeah, I'll tell you who has to fear besides God. Hamid Chachamim. Okay, we have for a lot of reasons. Okay, but I want to explain something to you. And this is from the time I was young. This bothered me. What is so special? Moda al emes is not extra credit. My Rebbe of blessed memory. The 40. It says here the Torah is acquired with 48 things. He says he held every one was a prerequisite, not like other people learn. Other people, you don't have the 48, you cannot, you need all 48 or you can't acquire Torah. You can't have Torah with that. You need these 48. Now, one of them is what? It's Moda al-Emes. Everybody's Moda al-Emes. Clearly, this man is admired for what he did. They dropped his theory. What's so special about him? What do you mean? You tried, it didn't work. Okay, you dropped it. What's so special? No, what's so special about this man? I'm going to tell you what's special. I'm gonna tell you what's special about it, and it's a life lesson. Many people make a mistake, and they think that when are they doing something? When they're talking, they're saying, they're doing. If they're sitting quietly, they're not doing anything. Look at what he said. Look what he said. He said what? They think so only when they're saying the Torah are they going to get reward for Torah. If they stop saying and they're quiet, they're nothing. But he says, listen. He said, I know. Look at the Marshal I'm telling you. He says what? He says. He understood. Listen, he says, why am I speaking? The only reason I speak is to bring glory to God. He says, if I am silent for the sake of the Torah, I'm also bringing glory to God. So look what he said. Another person would say, what? Listen, ani moda ala emet. I made a mistake. I tried, but it doesn't work. I'm going to be quiet. But then he would say, when he's quiet, he's not getting rewarded. But he said, no. He says, I'm going to get rewarded when I'm quiet also. Why? Because I only spoke in order to praise God. And now when I'm quiet, I'm being quiet to praise God. So he said, I'm going to get rewarded for being quiet. He said, no, not just I'm going to get rewarded for speaking. Since the only reason I spoke was to honor God, when I'm quiet to honor God, I'm also going to get rewarded. That's a great thing. This is a lesson. That's a person you got to follow. This is what you got to follow. He understands I'm going to get rewarded for being quiet. Because it's the same thing, same honor to God. You say the same thing. That's incredible. Other people say, some people say like this is incredible. So Rabbi Kiva, how did Rabbi Kiva come along and say, Tamei Chachamim? So it's not me. A lot of people say, you know what? After Rabbi Kiva saw that he was willing to drop his life's work and let go, and say, he says, you know what? Tamei Chachamim. He says, I'll tell you what, that's who you got to fear. Tamei Chachamim. That is frightening. That's frightening. That you have to stand in awe of. A guy who went to let go of everything. How many guys you know? Life's work. They put in $50 billion. Look, it's not true. Okay. I'm sorry, I have to announce my life's work is down the toilet. Forget it, down the drain. Who's going to do it? So you know what? Fear it. Tamei Chacham. That's what you got to fear. Anybody could do that, you better fear them. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's a different point. Nope. Okay. Yeah. This is a very important paragraph, I will say. This is precious. This is a life lesson. Yeah. This is the point. A person who fears God, they know everything's for the honor of God. What's the difference? I'll be quiet to honor God. I'll talk to honor God. What's the difference? I'm doing the same job. What's the difference? Okay, now he says, Tana Rabbana, we learned in the Brisa. We said what we learned in the Brisa. It says that the owner is clean. Okay, Omer, meaning what? What is it? He doesn't have to pay half kofar. In other words, you might think what? Because where do we learn the ox has to die when it's a muad? But pardon me, when do we learn do you pay kofar? I'm sorry. When do you pay kofar? The killing the animal we learn from that non-muad. Every animal has to die. But we learn kofar what by a muad, by a worn ox. What about a non-worn ox? Maybe you should pay half damages. Right? The same way, probably half kofar. The same way he pays half damages. Okay. So what? So therefore, what? So they're what? To try to say balashar naki that he's clean. What naki? Naki michatzi kofar. That since you might have thought he has to pay half atonement, he doesn't pay half of the guilt money. Amalei Rabbi Kiva. So Rabbi Kiva said to him, he says, Allahu atzma. He said, 1 second. He says, what are you talking about? Who needs to know that? He says, if a guy does damage, you only pay from where? Okay, he only pays from the animal. Okay, let him say to him. He should say to the guy. He says, hey, listen, bring the ox to the basin and get paid. The ox is stoned. It's gone. Goodbye, Charlie. Down the mountain. Okay, Amalei Rabbi Lazar. He says to him, he said, am I so? What do you think? I'm so unreasoned that you think that what that you thought I was talking about one that was obligated to be killed. Ein dini elika shehemis eso adam. Okay, okay. Alpi edachon, alpi abalim. I'm talking about an ox that even though it killed, it wasn't going to be killed. Why? You thought I was talking about an ox that would get killed. Obviously, I knew what you were saying is true. I'm talking about an ox that even though it killed somebody, it's not going to get killed. For example, it killed somebody when there was only one witness, or where the owners themselves admitted it. So in such a case, what for sure the ox killed. Okay, but the ox is not going to be killed. So now I would think what that just like you pay out of the body or whatever it is half damage, you have to pay what also half of the penitence money, of the atonement money. Okay, he said, "I'll pay." Gwen says, "1 second." He says, "I'll pay a balim." You want to tell me what the owners? When owner says, "How can you tell me what guy would ever have to pay? Who could ever think of a person paying by his own admission? Don't we know modav kanasu? We're saying what if you're going to pay half kofar, you're going to paying for what? Well, there's two ways to learn it. Either you're going to say kofar itself is a kanas or half kofar is a kanas, but he's paying a fine, and we know what admitting to a fine. You never have to pay on your own admission. He said, don't worry, Kosaber, he holds Kufra Kapara. He holds what you know. The Kofar is not a fine. Kofar is indeed a payment. He is supposed to die, and he's paying the money. He's paying it off. Or whatever you look at it. It's not a fine. He's paying off no matter which price he's paying tit for tat. It's not a fine. We learned another brayso. Amar lo Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer said to Akiva, Kachani benecha. Do I seem so simple in your eyes that you shadini bezeh shechai misi? You thought I was talking about an ox that had to be killed? Ein dini elab miskavin laharagas a behema v'haragas adam. I'm talking about a classic case of so to speak, an unintentional act. The animals wanted to kill an animal and it killed a man. The Mitzri meant to kill a Mitzri, Varg Yisrael, and killed a Jew. Then the following meant to kill what? Babies that were non-viable, less than 30 days old. Okay, they were not killable, so to speak, according to the law. Vaharig ben Kaim, and it killed what a person after 30 days. Okay, that's the case that I'm talking about. And therefore, what? Since the animal's not dead, that it would be how many to say what? That you pay half damages. Okay, thank you for listening, Rabbi. Have a wonderful day. It's late, but I wasn't late. It was just late. It wasn't me. The video was late.
It was a muckam then.
It was like
Well, here's the question that maybe you haven't answered. We know Et Hashem L'kecha Tira. We know
Tira.
Akiva came
Yeah.
through. But what would he say by the Ahavta Et Hashem L'kecha? How would he darshan the Et?
Oh, yeah, we don't have the list. I'm sure he darshened it.
Yeah, I'm saying, does anyone know what the?
I don't know. We have to find. It's interesting because there. It shouldn't be so hard. But the question is why it's not repetitious. Because we have other mitzvahs of love in the Torah. You have love of a ger. You have love of other Jews. You have to have love of other Jews. Love of a ger. What else we have? Yeah. So here
what is corresponding?
Right.
To love?
Right.
That's,
Yeah. But I don't know. I venture like I was similar. Yeah. Similar. Yeah. Similar. Good. We don't have his list.
Right.
Ironically.